welcome you all to Appreciative Inquiry and the Visual Sneak Peek. My name is Heather Leavitt Martinez, and I'm a certified Appreciative Inquiry facilitator and visual practitioner. And I like to start off meetings by setting a positive tone with an appreciative visual exercise. So if you can, take a moment to check out this slide. You can see that and imagine you are a musician, or perhaps you are really a musician, and choose an image that best represents the pleasure you get from expressing yourself and share why in the chat. People are saying number 8, love how playful it is. Yep. Who likes to jump on the bed? 6, making music together. 5, would love to know why. 5, why you chose 5. Yeah. 8, love the playfulness and fun of giving things a try, really into it. A bit of it all, yeah, depending on your mood of expression. I love it. Love nerding out on a topic along with people. So hopefully, Diana, you're going to enjoy this today. Number 4 is so passionate. Yes. Not sure why by myself, no audience. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I can see that. Number 5 is sort of an individual thing. So thank you, everyone, for playing along and looking at visuals. I like to start meetings with visuals in that way. And I want to invite you all to the sneak peek to Appreciative Inquiry and Visuals, about what today's purpose of the sneak peek is. And so it's to give you a peek into this 4-session course that we're starting in a few weeks, and to answer any questions you have about incorporating AI, which I say AI, and it's not the same AI, it's appreciative inquiry and visuals into your next meeting. So if you came here for actual AI, artificial intelligence, you might find this interesting as well, or you might be like, I'm out of here. And I totally get that. So I encourage you to ask lots of questions. And if you have a meeting agenda item that you would like to see visualized, I'm going to take some time at the end to work with those who might have brought maybe a circumstance or an agenda item or a problem or whatever. Feel free to type in the chat now if you want. Say you've got one, then I'll see how many people have, and then we can prioritize or figure out what might be responsive to the most amount of people. And so I'd really love to dedicate, so Doha is saying presentation. So if you have a presentation and you'd like to visualize that, we can talk about that as well. And so what's the process today? Well, here's how we're going to get there. I will start by diving into how I prep and deliver appreciative inquiry and visuals, and I'll give an overview of the class based on the 5D model. Now, I'm going to pop that in the chat now. If for some reason you can't get to it, you should be able to just click it and download it. That's okay. You can actually draw this. It's really simple. It's a circle with 5 words. So that's really simple. I'm also going to pop into the chat the agenda, the visual agenda for the class. And we actually follow this. Again, you can just look at this on your screen if you'd like. But this is the agenda that we're going to be following for the class. And it's all based on the Appreciative Inquiry 5D model. And today I'm going to show you how I use that in a discovery meeting with my clients. So if you find that you want to use that 5D process template to take notes with your clients, I'm going to show you how to do that today. So I'm going to do that, and the payoff is that you're going to leave with some ideas about how to keep your meeting participants engaged by using appreciative inquiry and visuals, and you're more informed about the workshop if you'd like to participate. But before we dive in, I like to know who is in the room. So this is really about, are you pulling information from people? Are you asking them questions? Are you pushing information to people? Are you giving presentations? That type of thing. Great. We have a great mix of folks here. And that's what I love about this class. I love it, Sharon saying just about everything mentioned. That's fabulous. And that's what I love about this class, because what it means is that I'm going to cover both of these. This is the world that I live in. I'm all of those things, and I like to be able to blend them. And some folks come in and they're facilitators, and they just want to know, how can I make simple visuals? And we're going to cover that in the course. We're going to cover that from very simple. How can you prep some things so that you don't have to do a lot of visuals during the meeting? And what can visuals look like online and also in person? But first, let's talk a little bit about What is appreciative inquiry? So for those of you who may not know, appreciative inquiry is a strength-based positive approach to leadership development, personal and organizational change. And so one of the things I said earlier was that if you came here with a problem, that's not really what we do in appreciative inquiry is look at problems. We actually look at the desired outcomes. But I love taking people's problems and helping them reframe that to see what it is they really want. Because appreciative inquiry truly is inquiring into the appreciative. What is positive, what gives us life, and what helps us thrive. And I have found that I get better results in the types of meetings, offsites, retreats that I've facilitated by adding appreciative inquiry because people are engaged in the process. They see it moving forward. They don't get stuck in or dwell too far into a problem. And so it's a bit of a paradigm shift if it's not something you're used to. So rather than identifying that problem, we look at what we want. And I say that's a paradigm shift because it might feel uncomfortable for a while, and that's okay. You can live there. I know that after getting certified as a visual practitioner, as a certified appreciative inquiry facilitator, I had gone through that paradigm shift and it really shifted the way that I think and feel. So really, what are my chops? So I am a visual practitioner. I mentioned that. And what I mean by that is I can do everything from here. I'm just graphic recording, but I can also do it online and virtually with an iPad where I capture presentations in meetings and conferences. And as a graphic recorder, I'm really a silent partner, pushing what I'm hearing out, not really pushing it out, but displaying it on large scale paper using markers. And again, that can be done with an iPad as well, just replacing the screen that you see here. And that's something that participants can watch and look at, or it can be presented during a meeting. I do that in person. Here I'm facilitating. So as you can see, there's not as much drawing here. It's more like I have a template set up and I'm asking people questions and I'm writing down what they're saying because we're getting ready to create a strategy. So I combine those visuals with facilitation and use templates to capture the conversation. I don't do a lot of drawing when I'm facilitating. I do all of that beforehand. And again, so I'm just curious, has anybody worked with if you're not already a visual practitioner, have you worked with a visual practitioner before? And if you feel free, unmute and tell us what that's like. What's it like to have one in the room, whether you're a facilitator? Maybe you all do it both.
I can go if that's
Yeah,
okay.
sure.
Yes, so I worked with a visual, I think, facilitator, but now I'm confused about what it was exactly. Maybe a bit of everything.
Yeah.
And then I tried it a bit myself, and it was really a lot of fun. But when I looked at the end, it was weird. It had some small things, some big things, so it was very hard to I don't know, have this logic that I guess eventually comes with practice.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
Looking at the final product, and I will say this as someone, okay, so the difference in language, all of us are visual practitioners, meaning we all kind of live under this umbrella of visual practitioner. Graphic recorders, the picture that you're seeing now, I'm just listening and writing things down. Of a graphic facilitator, and this is how I define it. There's a lot of people in our industry that might say it's different. Graphic facilitators are actually also speaking in the meeting, helping with the conversation, and writing things down. But that can also be up to debate. They can also call them graphic facilitators. And I will say that I understand the first time you ever try it, especially live, you might look at it and say, wow, that's not what I thought was going to come out, because you don't know what people are going to say. But here's the cool thing. We can think faster than we can listen, and we listen faster than what people can talk and speak. And so all of this processing is happening at the same time. In fact, you might be thinking about what you're going to do later, or you might be thinking about something that's on your plate right now. You can't, because you are thinking so much faster than I can speak. That's why we lose focus. There's nothing wrong with that. We're built that way. The cool thing is that we have all this time to process information when it's coming to us, because it takes a long time to write things down and draw. That takes a lot of time. And so the key to that process, and I'm not getting to really get into graphic recording, but I'm happy to give you some resources about it. The key to that process is listening. And it's the one thing that nobody sees us do. Our end result, our actual chart might look strange to us because we're like, that's not what I thought was going to come out. But we don't know what people are going to say. Yeah, I love it. Looks like Carrie's saying it was so cool to see the conversation emerge, very powerful in the moment as well as afterwards. And it creates a great conversation piece that sustains the energy of the workshop. I love this. My favorite part about being a visual practitioner, whether I'm doing a graphic recording like this, or I love to plan things. And that's what AI plus visuals is really planning the meeting out so that you have a visual you can take with you. I like to use them as change management tools. Now I see, Sharon, you have your hand up, so I'd love to answer your question.
I
Yeah.
think what you just said was so profound. So I would hope you could repeat it. We can think faster, whatever. So,
You know what? I'm
I
going to
was
make a
trying to
note of that.
listen
Yeah, it's okay.
and,
I'm going to write a note on that
oh my gosh,
and follow up with you because I
Mhm.
have a visual for it.
Oh,
So it
great.
just came
Very
up, and
good.
this is how this sneak peek is going to go. As questions come up, I will answer them. So one final thing about my street cred, and some of you may know me, especially if you're a visual practitioner, is I teach lettering. So at the end of this course, I'm going to give you a free lettering class that's going to help you improve your handwriting. It's super simple. Some of you have probably already taken it, but for those of you who really want to be able to write while you're in the meeting, or even prep some tools, it's going to be really great. So I'm just going to make a quick note about, about what Sharon was asking. So yes, we can think faster than we can listen, and we can listen faster than people can talk. And we can do all this so much faster. There's a big gap of time for distillation as we write and draw things. And so I've traveled all over the world. I've made 4 world tours teaching visual practitioners how to letter, and I have a book about it too. And it's just what I absolutely love. But let's get into why you are here. And so I'm going to outline the Appreciative Inquiry 5D process. That's what I popped to the chat. And so you should have that. If you came in late, I'll pop it in there again. This is a PDF that you can print out, but if you don't have a printer, no worries. You can just draw along with me. And so this first quote, I love this quote. David Cooper Ryder is one of the founders of Appreciative Inquiry. And he says, we live in the world our questions create. And that's a really big piece of Appreciative Inquiry, is how we create these questions. And so what I'd love to do is, you are welcome to draw along with me, because I'm going to show you how I conduct a discovery meeting. And when I'm in a discovery meeting, before I even get into the meeting, this is before I go, I'm going to define, what is this meeting about? It might be the purpose, right? But if I don't know that yet, what I might do, I'm just going to go to a blank thing here. There we go. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to gather information. I want to make sure you can see this, and you're welcome to take notes right along with me. And I'd love to know from you, how do you gather information about your clients before your meetings? Feel free to unmute. Maybe you go to their website. Maybe you review emails and communications that you've had with them. And what's on their website? You might be looking at their values, their mission. Later on, you're going to be looking at their color palette and their logo, maybe.
Can you just clarify, Heather, this is a AI process that you're using for your kind of introductory meeting with a client?
Yes,
That's what
absolutely.
this
So I
is?
take this
And
piece of
so
paper. Yeah, I
yep,
take this
so
with me.
so that first meeting is the defined process,
No,
is that
no,
what
this
you're
is
saying? Or
before, this is before I even get into the meeting. Yep.
right, right. So this is, but even before you get into the meeting, I mean,
I'm
let me
checking
just
things
say,
out.
the define is, to me, when the community members are going through the process.
Yeah,
But
so I'm
I know you're
showing
talking
you,
about all the
yeah.
lead up.
So I'm
Okay.
showing you what I do when I do a
Okay.
discovery meeting with a client. Okay. And then if you already know Appreciative Inquiry, you're going to say, oh, so this is like the first layer. And then we can do this again and again and again. This is iterative. We don't just end here. We keep
Okay.
going. Yeah. So this is before I even have the meeting. I'm gathering information about my client. And if I already have had, if it's a repeat client or if it's a client that I've had a lot of experience with, chances are I'm going to know what the purpose is of either the discovery meeting, like we're going to talk about this, or what eventually they want to do. What's the big meeting they want to have, or what's the longer term process they want to have. But if I know that purpose, I'll put that in here. I might even put in who's going to attend the meeting. So these are participants of that meeting. That just helps me remember their names. How many of you get into a meeting and you're like, oh my gosh, there's somebody new. I don't know who that is. I'm going to write them down. And I might even just write the date here, right? And if it's in person, I might put a location. But for the most part, I'm doing a lot of online, like many of you are. So it's just Zoom. When I'm inside of that meeting, that's where the appreciative inquiry questions start to come. And this is where we're really discovering the strengths and skills of our clients, right? So here's where I'm asking them, or we're exploring some of the ideas. I'm learning who the people in their organization are and what are their strengths and skills. So we're just doing process right now. And then I might even be asking them things about what are some, when I say places, this might be where are you all located. It helps me understand, are they a distributed team, or they might be excited that they got a new HQ, or a lot of people are back to work, those kinds of things. So in the very first session, and I'm going to be kind of going to the balcony and then also to the dance floor. And that means when I say the dance floor, it's like when I'm with the client, this is what's going on the balcony. In your very first session with me, I'm going to show you how to draw some of these very simple icons. And so it's really, you might go, whoa, that's scary. No, it's really kind of simple. We're just going to break some of these things down. And then what we want to do is once that starts to kind of, okay, I kind of feel like I have an understanding of who you are. I like to ask them about those strengths and skills. That's an appreciative inquiry approach. I might even be asking them about timelines. When did people come, go? When did important things happen? What do I need to know to help you reach your desired outcome? Because ultimately, everything that we're going to be designing for and delivering to is this desired outcome. So when we get to that phase, it's sort of an aspirational dream phase. We're not there yet, right? What do they want? What do they want to get out of this? And it might be that they have something as simple as, well, we just have a product. We just have a simple product that we want to be able to ship or create. But there might be more to that. It might be team building. It might be people need to work together in some way. And so I have a series um, of templates that I'm going to share with you that you are welcome to use in your events, or you can customize to however you need. And one of them, and you might be familiar with it, but I can certainly show you how to facilitate it, is an empathy map, because we want to know what people need to know, feel, think, and do in order to design an experience so they can get to ultimately that desired outcome. Right. So I have several different templates that I'll share with you. I'll walk you through. We'll have these exercises. And back to that discovery meeting, I'm dreaming there, and you get a couple of people in the meeting, they're uncomfortable. They're like, okay, enough of this like soft stuff. Let's get down to the logistics, right? And a lot of people like the logistics. The doers in the room are going to say, okay, so when are we going to have this meeting? Like they get out their clipboard, they've got a checklist of things that they want to be able to get done. Those are the logistics. Now, as a facilitator, I'm thinking, now hold on, knowing, okay, I get it. We need to know how many people are going to be in the room. Do we have to order lunch if it's an in-person, or, what platforms are we going to use, third-party tools, things like that. I'm going, okay, but let's talk about this desired outcome and what kind of conversations we want to have. And the kind of conversations that we want to have are really going to dictate the kind of visuals that we're going to create. So when they start talking about, well, we need to talk about this, and when they say we need to fix this, it's a great opportunity to go in and say, oh, that sounds like something you've been challenged with. What does it look like? What does the ultimate result look like, right? Go back to those desired outcome kind of questions. And then you start saying, okay, we're going to have these conversations. Some conversations might be very short, like a welcome. Some are very long. They've got to dive deeper. But we also don't want to ruin any type of energy. So we have to think about what the energy of the group is going to be over time and plan the visuals and the timing to kind of go with that. And sometimes we're going to meet in a big group. Sometimes we're going to pair off or be in small groups. We're going to come back to a big group again. We might have, working groups that are going to work together, a committee or something, and then come back again. And so this little diagram here is often used in design thinking where we're expanding, we're contracting, we're expanding and contracting and taking all of these ideas. This particular piece here becomes my agenda in a lot of ways. And this could be in one meeting or this could be over a series of meetings. And so all of these little icons are just icons for me that I actually draw. Sometimes the client's watching me, sometimes they're not. And it's a visual for me to be like, okay, I'm not going to write down agenda. It's like I just have this drawing and then I can be like, okay, here's the welcome. Here's where we're going to do a team building exercise. Here's where we're going to come back together and talk about our shared values. Here's where we're going to do some committee work. And then I can just take notes from there. And the client looks over and says, wow, that's great. And I get them to like an 80% solution. And when I can get them to that kind of a solution, if it's a discovery meeting and we don't even have like a statement of work like already set up, I just sold them. So this can also be a type of sales call, right? So this logistics part, this is where I spend the most of my time because I'm a facilitator and visual practitioner, planning things out and prepping for the meeting. But I have to be thinking about what does the delivery look like, right? Is this in person? Is this online? Or is this hybrid? And I know that some of you on this call are in Tech Host Academy, and you know that hybrid means that you are planning 3 meetings. You're planning the people that are in the room, the people that are online, and how they come together, because that is a whole different environment. And so it's a lot of work. And so when it comes to in-person, when you have questions about, well, how do I get the big paper? And what are the tools that you use? I'm going to share all that. When you talk about online, you might say, what's that Prezi thing that you're using where the picture comes up? Or what kind of iPad or tablet are you using? Or like I'm doing now, I'm not using a tablet, but we're online, right? So what I'm using here is I'm using a document camera, and I'm drawing on my desktop. And I've got a little light source over here. So if you've got questions about your setup, let's talk about it. And if you need resources about how do we do this hybrid, I'm going to ask you questions like, what do you want the final visual to look like? And it might be that you've got someone in the room that might be speaking, but then you've got someone there that's capturing things on a computer, and you're using a third-party collaboration tool so that everybody can have ongoing access to it later on. And we can talk about collaboration tools and which ones are easy, which ones are hard, which ones to use what. I've used many different kinds for different situations. So that's what I'm telling you what we're going to do in the class, but I'll ask the client, is this in person? Is it online? Is it hybrid? And then we'll start talking about what are some of the things going back to the logistics. This is where the rubber hits the road. And I go from being a consultant to, okay, I'm going to need your help. Let's come up with the roles and responsibilities of this group. Who's going to send out the invite, right? And sometimes I can't talk and write at the same time. Who's going to send out the invite? Who's going to set the tone of the meeting? Who's going to work with me to make sure that we've got the purpose nailed and that we've got the objectives, and making sure that who's my point of contact, right? Who's my actual client? And then also when we talk about AI, who's going to put the core group together? There's a core team that come together to talk about what that purpose is. And then this whole thing starts over. So hopefully, Sharon, this answers your question. I do all this before the actual thing, before the team even gets started. And then we say, okay, well, we're going to put a core group together. Maybe that's the next step. Then we say, then let's do a discovery meeting with the core group. And we're going to probably, as a core group, spend most of our time in this desired outcome area to really figure out what the group needs. And then we'll work together to do the logistics. So this very first meeting, I'm doing a lot of the heavy lifting, and they're like, whoa, she's really got it together. She knows what she's doing. It's all that. It's sort of like if you're a facilitator and you think they have no idea what I do to get ready for the meeting. Well, it's just transparent. And by showing it in a visual way, it becomes more universal, right? So what questions do you have about either the agenda or this process? I know I threw a lot of appreciative inquiry and visual jargon out there. Who has any clarifying questions or anything you want to add?
I have a
Heather,
question.
oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Are you recording this by any chance?
Yes, it's recorded.
Okay.
Yeah.
I may have to drop off. I just
That's
got
fine.
an email that popped up, so.
Thanks, Sharon.
But anyway, just wanted to see.
Yeah. Okay, Johanna, you had a question. And tell me, am I saying your name right?
It's
Johanna?
Shoana.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm like, I love this, and I wonder if we're gonna get to practice this more in the class I already signed up. And the reason why I say this is because I sometimes when you go into a discovery call, like you have no idea, like, right, what's gonna happen. And I'm like, well, like, what do they actually want? And like,
Yep.
are we a good match for each other? And so like, I love this process, but I'm having a hard time, like, kind of envisioning how I would like guide people through a
Yes.
process when I have no idea what we're talking about.
Exactly. And so thank you for saying that. I did not pay Shohana to say this, but I will tell you that I created a very similar template like this. It was back when I first started being a visual practitioner in 2010 or 2011. And it was in 2014 that I moved to Washington, D.C. I'm going to just stop sharing for a second. And I moved to Washington, D.C. to build a team of visual practitioners. It was so audacious. It was like, I'm just going to do it. And I did it. And I got there and I started meeting with the client, and I was like, I have no idea what they're talking about. I have no idea I don't even know the subject. It was so foreign to me. And the first meeting I went to was a disaster. And the second meeting I went to, I brought a blank template very similar to this. And I went, whatever it is they tell me, I'm just going to start writing it down in these areas and start sorting it out. And they kind of look at me and say, wow, you're just kind of scribbling everywhere. And I'm like, this is a discovery meeting. I'm discovering all I can about you. And as I started doing this, I got a little bit better at finding the icons and the placement and putting where things go. And then I went, wow, now I have a whole set of questions that go behind each one of these areas. And that's what we're going to talk about in the class. I can give you those questions, but more importantly, I'm going to give you handouts are about discovering a little bit about you so that you can show up and say, this is who I am. This is what I do, who I do it for. And these are my differentiators. You don't have to share this with people. I want you to know this, and I kind of want to know this so that I can know what your expertise is, because exactly what you said about the discovery meeting. And I have to tell you, discovery meetings, I have used them to know that I'm not the right fit for the client. And I like that even better because now I'm not wasting my time with them. I can move on to the clients I want to work with, and I can refer someone to them because I know it's a better fit. So for me, it's like, I got to know who I am. Then I got to know who my client is. And I got to know what they want. And then as I'm drafting out the purpose statement, I'm really checking it with them. Then I can reflect back and I can start planning. Then I've got a checklist of here's all the stuff I've got to do for my design. So these are the kind of things you're going to get in the class. And then when I go to deliver, I want to make sure I'm doing all of these things as well. So most facilitators are like, I don't need that, except for maybe the design part if they don't do a lot of visuals. But really what this is about is giving you the tools you need so that when we get into the class, or I also offer office hours afterwards, you can bring your meeting, your circumstance, whatever is coming up for you, and we can workshop it. So yeah, so yes, that's all there. Now you will get each of the sessions I have presentations, but you're also going to experience these visuals as a participant. And you're going to be thinking about it at the same time. Ooh, how would I use that as a facilitator? And they're very general templates that I almost use with almost all my clients. On some level, it works its way there. And you can use them as they are, or you can customize them to meet your needs. And I highly recommend that you customize them because that's just going to bring you better value to the client. And I offer almost all of the visuals either, I offer them all digitally, but you can redraw them if you want. Yeah, great. Other questions, other additions to this process? Yeah, that was great. Hope that answered it. Yeah.
Can I go?
Yeah.
I'm wondering if you're able to, and the answer might be both, but would you consider this more of an AI introduction with visuals, or it's an introduction to visuals, but it happens to be with AI?
That all depends on who's in the room and how it's weighted, right? If I got all visual people and they just wanted to talk about AI, we talk a little bit more about AI, but really integrating it. This is a bridge for me that I've only found a few other people in the world that do both. I will say that if you want to become a visual practitioner, you're going to want to do more studying around that. So it's sort of an intro to both. But if you're already one, you're going to be able to implement the other. Now, I will say that if you're already a visual practitioner and you want to learn about AI, I highly recommend they have an intro to appreciative inquiry class that you can learn. I think it's self-paced. And they also have an appreciative inquiry facilitator certification, which is what I have. And I highly recommend that because Sharon had mentioned it earlier about, well, when we get into the core team or in the working team, that's fine. I have to tell you that I have only worked with, out of the how many years, like over 10 years of being both AI and visuals, I've only worked with one group where we had a core team. And most AI people will say, that's not the way you work. And I say, if I have to do AI guerrilla style to get people where they need to go, I'm going to do it. Because if they say, we don't have time for all that. Now, I say that because I was working for the intelligence community and decisions had to be made in 7 minutes. We don't have time to put together a core team. What do we want to have happen? Let's prioritize and let's look at the best outcomes here, right? So I will say that I don't know if this answers, I mean, you said it, it's both, but it's really going to depend on the questions that you ask. Yeah, Fernanda, so great to see you here.
Hi, Heather.
Yes.
Nice to see you again. My question is that in general, some clients know more or less what they want. They have some idea and sometimes they think about big dreams, and we have to bring some good questions to narrow down exactly what they can achieve in that 1-day workshop or 2 days or in a 6-month process.
Right.
And what I'm wondering, in what phase you think you conduct them to reflect on the purpose? Because many times they are very focused on the product, which is the dream, the outcome, but what is the moment that you build with them a common vision of why what they are doing is so important? What's the really reason they are trying to do that?
Right. So I love that. And it depends on where you're meeting them, right? If they're in the middle of something and they're like, we got to get something done now, we do a quick check on, are we aligned with whatever the vision is? If they're like, well, we don't have a vision, well, are we going to be able to get there from there? from here. I love to start with a vision. That's my favorite part. If that's drawing it out, if it's them drawing it out, however that needs to happen, having a shared vision is what helps keep a group together when things get rough. Now, if you're in a meeting or if you're finding that every single meeting they love to dream, but they're not implementing, then we say, okay, let's gather all the dreams up. And let's look and see what we want to have happen. And you may need to either do some of this work for them or identify with them who are the implementers, who are the people that are going to take this and help move it forward, and who are the idea people that can step back for a moment and make sure that it happens, that they don't get in the way. So I want to show you a quick visual. I'm just going to draw this because this is, I have full intention, and we do this in the class. I have all these things that I want to share, but I love to do these one-offs. Okay, I'm going to share with you really quick, a quick visual. This comes from, and I don't even know if this is, it used to be an assessment. I don't even know if it exists anymore. My pen is running out. But it's a really great way that I use to explain to people how you look at an entire team. And this is called Team Dimensions Profile. And you can look it up. But if there's nothing out there, you've got it right here in this recording. And you've got some different types of people that are on your team. You have the creators or the ideators. These are the people who won't stop sharing ideas. They're the visionaries. Then you get the advancers. I'll label these for you so you have them. You've got the creators. These are the creative people. Then you have the advancers. These are the people that are like, yeah, let's get to it. But more importantly, they're the ones that probably work in marketing. And they're like, here's how we're going to tell people about it. Like, let's take this idea and go somewhere with it. And then you get the refiners. These are the people that are like, hold on a minute. We cannot ship this. All the T's are not crossed. The I's aren't dotted. We're not ready. And some of those people might come off as the people that are keeping progress from happening, but they might also have a really important role. And that is, we need to look good. And then we have, and I don't like this word, but it's the executors. These are the people that execute. So I'm just going to put execute because I don't like the idea of an executor. And so each person has a role on this team. And there's a time where they need to step in and do their role and then probably step away. And there's probably some people, and it usually goes this way, usually get creators can also be refiners. Some of them don't like detail, but some of them are like, no, I want to make sure my idea is the way I intended it. And then sometimes you get advancers who also like to execute because they like to get things done. So these are the people that are going to get things done. This is where ideas come from and things get better and refined. However, there's a fifth one. And this is a really special person that we call the flexor. And this is the person that can drop in at any time and say, this needs to be done. This needs to be done. This needs to be done. And if you're a facilitator, chances are if you can see this, you can say, who can help in this area? Because if you've got a whole team of people that are like, we got to advance and execute, and we've got one lonely refiner and they're an introvert and they don't have a very big voice and they always get skipped, and then we ship something that's not right and we should have thought about it more, we need to give this person support. So who's the flexor that can come in and do that work? Was that helpful, Fernanda? I saw some nods from other people, but I don't know if that fully answered your question. So I want to make sure. Yeah. So one of the things that we do as as facilitators is that we've got to be able to see what a group needs. And yeah, some groups come in and they know what they want. Some groups come in and they think they know what they want and they don't know that it's not what they want. And so we have to check ourselves and know, are we the subject matter experts? No, but can we help them get where they want to go? And that's why that desired outcome is so important. So I love this, Carrie. You're asking the question, can you use this process for individuals? Absolutely. I use it for coaching. It's all about the outcome. So I wonder if this would work with people that are in conflict, for example. Yes. So I don't work a lot with conflict. I will admit to that. I like to stay in my lane with regards to what I'm an expert in. But if you are an expert in conflict, then I would say absolutely. You have you heard of the exercise Speak Through Me? So Speak Through Me is, well, I did do this once. There was a group of people that weren't getting along. They were all leaders. They were all had competing priorities. And so they took it kind of personally to each other. Like, this is what my group does. I'm representing them. And they all came together and they started fighting. And I said, okay, I want you all, each of you, if you have something to say, you're going to, one at a time, you're going to tell me what you want to tell that person, but you're going to look at me when you do it. Now, you have to be really, as a facilitator, very resourced to do this, right? Like, you can't take on all this stuff because some people are mad, like they're screaming, they're cussing, they're spitting. Some are have a little bit more self-control. And so I have them do that. And when they do it, first they look at me and they're like, well, I'm not going to yell at you, but here's what I was feeling. And they start telling me. And so it softens how they feel about it a little bit. And then it goes to me, not directed at someone else. So that other person's not going to react the same way. They're going to kind of see them for who they are. And it's kind of this really interesting thing that goes on because everybody's facing me, telling me, and I'm taking it and I'm going, good, thank you. Thank you. I needed to hear that. And it's almost like, oh my gosh, she's kind of role playing my role. And then when I feel that critical juncture where the conflict is now at a place where we can actually talk to each other, I'll say, okay, where in this organization have we seen things work? Where have we been successful? That's the appreciative inquiry part. And then they can start celebrating it, right? They can start, well, we were good over here. And somebody tells so-and-so did what, da, da, da. We go, okay, that's not a good behavior. That behavior didn't help us. What behaviors will help us get us where we need to go, right? So you're just tagging on to whatever they're saying and helping reframe that to get them where they want to be. Because in appreciative inquiry, when we get stuck in problems, we're stuck. Like, how do you get out of that? So let's reframe that. Let's look at what we do want, and there's another approach. It's called appreciative resilience. I'm also a certified facilitator in that. And that is, we've been through hard times before. We know we can do hard things. How did we do it? Let's go back to our strengths. And that's where when I talked about in the discovery meeting, I talk about these skills and strengths because I'm relying back to this all the time. If we need somebody in a certain spot, hey, we've already identified their skill, their strength. Let's make sure that they're getting the time they need to do their best work. So again, appreciative inquiry is strengths-based. Yeah. Good questions. Any other questions? Feel free to unmute if it takes too long to type it. I'm glad you like that, Carrie. That's great. Okay. I think I shared with you a blog post that had this visual in it, and it was a case study. It was an actual meeting that I did, and in the course, I actually show you what the actual template was. This was not the template this was the template that I used to propose the meeting. And I'm going to show you the actual work that came out of it. What went right, what went wrong. That's fine. I share everything in that. So for those of you that are interested in learning more, let me put the link in the chat. I'll also follow up with an email to you as well. I don't know how long the early bird discount is, but for this class, I've contacted the Center for Appreciative Inquiry and I've asked them, can you have, at least the next 24 hours, if not till the end of the week. So if for some reason you click on that link and you don't get the early bird discount, just email me, shoot me an email, and I'll make sure I get you in at that price. Yeah, and there's a couple of other resources that I wanted to share with you. We talked about starting the meeting off on a certain tone. For those of you that want a really quick, easy way, you can draw this out beforehand. This is called Start Your Meeting with a Celebration. And I use the iceberg as a icon, which is pretty easy to draw. And I even give you some examples of how to do that and all the steps. So it's those types of things that I help you plug in. Now, every meeting, I want to say pretty much every meeting that I'm a part of now has visuals throughout the entire meeting. But if you're a facilitator that doesn't do a lot of visuals, just maybe have one. Start with one or two. You don't have to have an entire meeting full of visuals. But if I'm getting paid as a visual practitioner, that's what I'm going to do the entire meeting. So I have lots of these that are standardized that I use and customized for each one of my clients. And sometimes I do complete custom templates. And so if any of you, we have just a few minutes left, if any of you have a meeting or an agenda item that you'd like me to quickly create a template that you can riff off of, or if anybody just wants to have another question, you want me to visualize an answer like I did so far, let me know. I'll stay on for another 10 minutes. Or questions about the class. Yeah, Doha.
Thank you. I have a presentation actually, and it's really information. So I'm wondering if that would work, if it's possible to have a visual. I'm just thinking, I want to try not using slides and doing something with my hands. You know, either drawing or having something already drawn and filling it up, making it just a bit different than slides.
Yeah, absolutely. This is what I love. I know so many of my colleagues that are visual practitioners that are like, just say no to PowerPoint. I get it. And sometimes my client cannot not do PowerPoint. So
Yeah.
I understand that. So when you say you want a little bit more to it, are we thinking props? Are you thinking something that's already drawn, or do you want to be interactive with what you're presenting?
I think I'd like to be interactive.
A really easy way, because I just have this library of things, a really easy way to be able to do that is that you can have a picture that's already drawn out. You could do it, or you can hire someone to do it. And you could put white sticky notes over it and unpeel parts of it to show it if it's in person. Is this online or in person?
It's online. It's online.
Okay. Do you have an iPad?
I don't have an iPad.
It's okay. I'm just asking questions. If this were on an iPad, I would put a white layer on top of the picture and I'd erase it. If I don't have an iPad, I would put it in PowerPoint, and I wouldn't, people wouldn't know it's PowerPoint or whatever, but I would have slides where there's a reveal. Where I'm revealing something. And I don't know how many of you are familiar with the Prezi live video, but this is the app that I'm using now, where I put up and I literally pull out of PowerPoint slides and I put them inside of Prezi. And Prezi is built like PowerPoint. You can't build slides in it, but you can import images. You can import even videos. And so it's kind of nice to just have it here because look, you're seeing me. I'm not the little bitty person in the corner, and you're also seeing the slide. So I don't know if that's helpful.
Totally. So it's Prezi as in Prezi.
Yeah, So, and it's called Prezi Video. There are, I want to say, about 3 different products that Prezi puts out, but this one's called Prezi Video. And I will do a quick sharing my screen so that you can see it. I just need to get rid of some of these windows here. I'll share my screen so that you can see what the back end of it looks like. How's that?
Sure, thank you.
What you're seeing here this is what you're seeing on Zoom in the middle here, right? I'll make it a little bit bigger so you can see that. And then I have my slides on the right, so I can see what my slides are, just kind of like PowerPoint. I can put in presentation notes. So I can have this almost like a teleprompter, and I can put it way up at the top of my screen so it's right below my video. And then whenever I want to click on a slide, this will show me the next slide. Let me show you this one just because it takes up the full screen. See the format of it? Down here, I'm going to click this button and it's going to get bigger. And now you can't see me, but you can see the slide.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's I don't want to say it's easy because if you're technologically challenged, it might not be easy, but it's just one step away from PowerPoint. If you design everything in PowerPoint, or if the client does, and you just plop in some videos, or images, you can pop them in here. You might have noticed at the beginning, I had a purpose slide where I just had the word, but then I had everything I was writing over here. So you can even just type a few words here or a bunch of words, but you don't want too many words, but yeah. So that's just a great way. I think I stopped sharing now. That's just one tool that I use to help make my presentations a little bit more interesting. And I did a class with a Fortune 50 company, and I was using it, and I was teaching how to do tech hosting, and they were like, "What are you doing to get that?" I always get it wrong, to get all those things to show up. It's like, oh yeah. But here's the thing. Zoom now has a feature like that. When you share your screen, it can show up next to you. So that's, that's brand new. I haven't really explored it yet, but that's the kind of thing that we can talk about either in the class or in the office hours after the class. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, great. What other questions do we have? Did I miss one? Jacoben was asking, yeah, they'd love to join the training, but also on vacation. So the sessions are recorded, and I will give you access to an online portal that's on you all received an email from Tech Host Academy. That's one of my websites. I have an online class there that you'll have lifetime access to, and I put up all of the past recordings. So you'll see, even though I'm covering the same information, the people that show up bring a different conversation. And so sometimes they ask questions like, this sneak peek is nothing like any of my other sneak peeks because of the questions that you brought with you. Yeah. Information, most of it's the same. It's just that we veer off into other places too. Well, I hope this has piqued your interest. If it's something you can do, and then when we meet again in a couple of weeks, I'd love to have you. If you want to wait, I think we're doing it again in the fall, but it's going to be a while before I offer it again. And yeah, so I will be offering it again in, I believe, November. So yeah. And I used to do it, sometimes I do it like once a week. This time I'm doing it 4 days in a row so you can get done with it. And then you can come back to me anytime and ask me questions. I've got lots of resources to share. And I'll follow up with an email with this recording and a few more resources for you as well. All right. Thank you everyone for joining me. I love seeing just all the different people who are both visual or facilitators or both. It's so nice to get to see you all, and reach out if you have any questions. All right. Thanks, everybody.